One of the things I really want to learn how to do is to write my books more effectively. And I think trying to emulate another writer's process is one of the better ways to more easily figure out what works for you. Hi, my name is Dawn Dalton. I am a freelance writer, an aspiring author, and I am working towards self-publishing my debut novel, Game On, and I'm taking you along for the ride. Now, this last year, I did one of those I wrote like Neil Gaiman videos, and it did teach me a lot about myself as a writer, most specifically about how distractible I am as a writer, and kind of helped me see that if I took myself away from the distractions, I could write more, faster, and better. And so I thought that I would try it again, but with a different author. And I gotta tell you, I've been going through my bookcases and picking out a few authors that I'm like, oh, I really would like to know how this person writes and how that person writes. And it's frustrating if they haven't given an interview where they have said very specifically, this is my writing routine. I was gonna do Jim C. Hines, and his writing routine is either I write for 4 hours or I don't write at all. Because he is a single father and doesn't always have the time to be able to sit down and write. And so as I was going through my bookcases, picking different authors to see what their writing routine was like, I remembered somebody whom I've read on and off for a few years, and that is the Australian writer Kylie Scott. And I absolutely loved her stage dive novels. I loved Repeat. And so I decided that I would look up her writing routine. And her writing routine is very simple. She wakes up, she has a cup of coffee, she takes the kids to school, she messes around on social media, answers emails, procrastinates, adds more coffee, and then finally settles down to write or edit whatever is on her plate for that day. And then in the evening, she relaxes with either a book or watching TV. And again, it's very loosey-goosey in what it is. The thing that she only ever comes back to multiple times in the interviews I've looked up is the 2 cups of coffee. Those are what are important. She's a big procrastinator, and she's a planter. She's working towards becoming a planner, but for the most part, pantses her writing. And the more I looked into her writing routine and the more I looked into everything else, I really want to try what she does when she comes into idea iteration for her books. And the first thing she does is she comes up with a log line for the book. So for her first stage dive novel, Lick, it says, a naive young college student goes to Vegas to celebrate her 21st birthday and wakes up married to a rock star. That's the entire premise of the book, boiled down into one sentence. And I think that that is one of the things I do struggle with my books. Like, Game On has a log line. Boy meets girl at a gaming tournament. Can their love survive the competition? But none of my other books actually have a log line. The next thing she does is she identifies the tropes she's going to use in the book. So for Lick, wake up married in Vegas, opposites attract, coming of age. And then she starts sorting out internal and external conflicts for the book, like the internal conflicts being parents' expectations and her insecurities, external conflicts being fans and publicity and flirting in the band, or fitting in with the band. And then she extends the log line and all the rest to roughly identify the story arc. And then she starts her actual character and scene maps. And one of the other things she does is sets up sort of a mood board for the story. So if she finds people who look at least vaguely like her characters, she leaves it up on the screen as she's writing. And I think that that's actually a cool way to go about a book. You know, for me, it's always the first thing that I think of is the characters and not really what story they're going to tell. So what I'm going to do for the next couple of days is I'm going to get up, have my cup of coffee, deal with the dog, maybe take her for a walk if her leg is feeling better, and then I am going to check my email, socials, everything, just to make sure I don't have any freelance work. And then I'm going to sit and work on whatever I come up with the night before for what I need to be working on. And then try to be done by 5 or whenever I am done working for the day. If I want to go above and beyond, I can go above and beyond, but I don't have to. And then I do want to sit and relax, read a book, watch TV with my husband, and lather, rinse, repeat for the next couple of days. By the end of this experiment, I do want to have a really much more fleshed out book 4, because that is the book that I am in the plotting process of, and I want to have that plot done and ready to go for when I am done drafting Roll of the Dice. I also want to write a couple of pages of Roll of the Dice every day, and to continue to work my way through Press Start and all of the extra little bits that are still left over for Game On, because we're getting really close to publishing date. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning for day 1 of this experiment. I'm planning on doing 3 days. If all goes according to plan, I may extend to a 4th day, we'll see, and I'll let you know how this experiment actually worked. All right, it's time to kick off the experiment. I have just finished with everything other than my writing that I had to do today. The puppy and I are not taking a walk today. It decided to be absolutely ugly outside and go from raining to snowing. So in an effort to save the poor puppy from freezing her paws off, as you know, she is a very old dog, we are not going for a walk. In fact, she's such a priss, she barely wants to go outside to go to the bathroom. Last night, before I went to bed, I came up with my list of stuff that I want to get done today for the experiment. So today I want to write 2 pages of Roll of the Dice. I want to go through 2 sections of Press Start. I'm at the point where I need to start filling stuff in that story. And I'm just taking note of what I need to fill in if it's longer than a couple of sentences, or, you know, a quick lookup of what does this place actually look like. I also want to write the back matter for Game On, because we're at that point where it needs to be finished and slapped on the book and ready to go. And then I also want to write the log line and figure out the tropes for book 4 in the series, just because this is the Kylie Scott method. I want to see how it works with a book that I've already started coming up with the ideas for. And I also came up with an idea last night when I was trying to sleep, so I also need to quick write that down in my writer notebook, just so that I don't forget it. So let's go. Oh, and I do have my second cup of coffee, which is the most important part of this entire experiment. Have my second bottle of water and a full sugar snickerdoodle cookie, because balance. All right, now let's do this. is going amazingly. I have finished my 2 pages of Roll of the Dice. I've gone through 2 sections of Press Start and made notes as to what needs to happen in those so that I can start to really dig into the nitty-gritty. I wrote my first draft of my back matter for Game On. I know I'm gonna have to go back and rewrite it, but the last thing on my list is to work on book 4, and the first thing I need to do is write a log line. And for a log line, you really need a who, a what, and a why. So I'm gonna get cracking on that. I know at least one of the tropes for this book is going to be found family, so I will get back to you as I work through this problem. Okay, that went way too quickly, and I feel like I have a much better handle on the book, to the point where I gave it a temporary name. I'm gonna call it Balancing the Pieces. This is gonna be the board game book in my series, because the house that gaming built is based around a bunch of gamers, each gamer playing a different type of game, from miniature games to video games to role-playing games and now board games. My log line for this is: a young man hires the woman of his dreams as the nanny for his young niece. Passions flare even as the world tries to pull them apart. The tropes I'm going to use is the parent and child's nanny or boss and employee trope. Innocent cohabitation. Lovers in denial, that one I'm still questioning. Rejected as unworthy by parents, and found family. And I still have 2 hours left in what I was going to consider my work day. So I think I'm going to go back and do some more handwriting and maybe start going through the conflict thesauruses to see what kind of internal and external conflicts I can give to my characters. I have a few ideas as to what I want out of this story, and I know mostly where it's gonna go, but I do need a few more things. Also, going through those might help with some of the problems I'm having with my other 2 books, but we'll see. So I'm gonna go back to writing, and maybe I'll take a quick walk on my treadmill before I do actually go back to writing, because everything else has gone pretty quick today. So I think I'm gonna take a short break, double check to make sure the puppy doesn't need anything, and then get back to writing. Happy Thursday. The morning kind of got away from me in a big darn hurry, but I had a feeling it was going to, because one of my tasks prior to being able to sit down and write was to actually edit this week's video, because videos usually go live on Fridays. So I usually have to edit my video on Thursday. And just like yesterday, I wanted to make sure that all the tasks on my list got done prior to me sitting down and writing, because just like Kylie, I am super duper distractible, and if I have a task that I know needs to be done and it's on today's list, I will continually be thinking about it. Now for yesterday, it went swimmingly. Having a definitive end time made it so that I was more focused with sitting down and actually doing what was on my list, as opposed to getting distracted every 5 minutes by YouTube videos and what have you. Not only did I finish everything on my list, I did end up writing a 3rd page when I was only slotted to write 2. For today, I want to write 2 pages. I want to work my way through 2 more sections of Press Start, and I want to work on the conflicts for book 4, which does have a working title of Balancing the Pieces. I think I might change that to picking up the pieces, but I'm not 100% certain just yet. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually put on my hoodie and my slippers because it is cold down here today. And then I am going to actually start with press start today instead of roll of the dice. And I think I'm going to work through everything chronologically. So it's going to be press start, roll of the dice, and then book 4. So let's go. Okay, I just finished my 2 pages of roll of the dice and the 2 sections of press start, and I'm about to start with book 4 and working through picking out some conflicts for them. I am going to use the conflict thesauri to see if I can find some extra stuff. I'm going to make just a ridiculously huge list of both internal and external conflicts that could happen in the book, and then as I work through the story, I'm going to probably thin that list out, but having a chance to add extra stuff, this might also spark some thoughts for previous books. I did have a thought for this book this morning, just to add a little knife twist into everything. Happy Friday. It is day 3 of my Kylie Scott challenge, and I have been enjoying this one. If for no other reason than the way I structured it means that I'm getting a ton of stuff done because I do have a deadline. I've been trying to get everything crossed off my list by 5 o'clock each day, just so that I can have the evening free to spend with my husband if I want to, work on other things. Most of the time I am coming back to my desk and doing more writing because I'm obsessed. Yesterday I did manage an extra page above what I was planning on writing. I did get my conflicts or possible conflicts written up. One of the things I've been loving with the conflict thesaurus is each conflict has 2 pages. So it comes up with examples, minor complication, potentially disastrous results, resulting emotions, possible internal struggles, negative traits that may worsen the situation, impact on basic needs, positive traits to help the character cope, and positive outcomes. And I love that because it gives me more stuff that I can play with inside each conflict. So today I still need to grab my second cup of coffee because that is like her big thing, is her muse doesn't work for less than 2 cups of coffee. I did finally get a good night's sleep last night, so I don't feel like I need that much caffeine. So I am gonna just probably grab like a half calf cup today. On the docket for my writing is 2 more pages of roll of the dice, 2 more sections of press start, And the next part of her book prepping process is to extend the logline and roughly identify the story arc. After that, it is characters and scene maps, and that's it. So today is going to be finishing out sort of the deep dive into the book and really starting to figure out the characters. One is already an established character inside the universe of the series. The other one is obviously a new character being added in. So I do have to do a bunch of work on Michaela, but for the most part, Andrew is already pretty solidified in the universe, so it's good. So let's get this started and finish out strong. So it's been a few days since I finished the experiment, and I wanted to take that time to sort of think about what I learned, what I liked from what I had been doing, and sort of just let it all sit. And the final day of the experiment, I did an extra page of writing, did some extra words, plus I wrote out almost an entire page of extending out what I wanted in the book. And that's, a lot of this doesn't even factor into the romancing the beat post-it notes that I've already written. So let's talk about what I did over these 3 days, because for the most part, I feel like it was super enjoyable and actually kind of helped me solidify how my writing day should go. First things first, what did I do? Every day I would go through my list, and anything that wasn't writing, unless it was time sensitive to something that was happening that evening, had to be done before I could sit down and write. That in and of itself, clearing those distractions from my day, meant that I was a lot more honed in and focused on my writing. The other part being that I set myself a semi-hard deadline of having everything on the list done by 5 o'clock, again, unless it was time sensitive to something happening later that day. And I think that that worked very well to kind of keep me from getting super duper distracted. I still would come back to my desk in the evening and usually write another page or two of something else. But for the most part, it kept me honed in on what I was supposed to be doing. The other part, the trying a different way of setting up a book, I think really helped give me more ideas to play with for this book. And I kind of wish I had done this when I was writing book 2, because I did have quite a few struggles kind of coming up with conflicts and stuff in book 2, besides the big major conflict. I think this will make writing book 4 a lot easier now that I have a stronger handle on internal and external conflicts and pretty much everything that's going on around these two characters. Now I still have to do a deeper dive into the characters and completely figure out their personalities a little bit better, get them a little bit more gelled as to who they are at the beginning of the story. But other than that, I think this experiment was amazing. I do think that the 2 cups of coffee was a little unnecessary for me. I'm already highly caffeinated. In addition to drinking my coffee, I usually have a thing of water that has caffeinated Mio in it, and I also have soda. So the extra coffee just kind of made me vibrate a little bit. There was a day during this experiment that it was necessary because I didn't get enough sleep the night before. But other than that, I do think that going forward, I will continue to go back to Kylie's way of setting up a book, because I think that it allows me to better feel out the story and how viable it is before I start writing it. Will I continue to drink 2 cups of coffee every day in addition to all the other caffeinated beverages? Probably not. Will I continue trying to keep my day set up like this? Yeah. I do like the fact that I can sort of clear the deck and then focus in on my writing. So with that being said, if you've enjoyed this and want to continue watching me on my journey, be sure to feed the algorithm, boop that like button, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Bye.